I have some question from the community, but we are going to do some update. So sorry for the delay, because I was actually I was in cinema, new Scorsese movie. I'm not sure if you movie fan. Do you watch
I
Scorsese?
am.
Yeah,
I do.
there is new movie of Scorsese, Killers of the Flower Moon, with DiCaprio and De Niro. Not sure if you heard. Um, but it's been like a 3.5 hour, which is quite painful. And I was in cinema and really wanted to see that, so I delayed that chat for 1 hour.
It's
What you've
okay.
been
It's
what
okay.
you've been up to?
Yeah, I mean, the focus now is ETH IBC. I think the last time we spoke was before Cosmoverse, so sometime in August. Um, I said ETH IBC testnet soon, and now people can interact with it. So now is the path to mainnet, basically. So
Um,
yeah.
I tried to use the testnet, but I couldn't. I know we meant to connect, so I could do it. But how was the Cosmoverse? I didn't think you're gonna go. So, you met some of the competition. Did you say hi to each other?
Yeah, yes, we did. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, Cosmoverse was cool. I think Istanbul is an interesting place to do it. Um, I'd say, like, I think what's nice about Cosmoverse is they never really do it in, like Europe. It's like last year was in Colombia, this year is in Turkey. I'm curious which place they'll choose next year. But I think it's nice for people to get a different perspective about crypto. And
I lost the audio after the. Oh, it's back. It's good.
like gambling, right? So yeah.
What was there like? What was? Not sure if you looked at any panels. What was any panel that you find interesting?
Yeah, I think the AZ one was interesting. I mean, I think that um the biggest takeaway for me um from Cosmoverse was I think people are looking at ICS differently, like since Cosmoverse. The Stride proposal to merge with the Cosmos Hub. I'm not really sure like what you think about it or sort of what the general sentiment is about it. I think it's a bit weird, um, to say the least. And so I think that was kind of my takeaway was like things are becoming slightly more complicated as people don't really have direction as to like what to do, like what's the direction of Cosmos, right? Like it feels like right now Cosmos is struggling to find its feet properly in the market. Um, and I think there's a lot of things that can be attributed to as to why, um, which we can go into.
Yeah, I mean I agree. The stride proposal, like I think the proposal was a little bit silly, but I think any attempt of the merger will face a lot of hesitance, right? So the stride issue, like I think every Cosmos chain, like so every Cosmos chain that the same people are the Cosmos Hub users, and Atom users, they don't necessarily like Hub politics. So they feel like, okay, I found my corner. So if you propose merging, they will not go for it. And I think Stride community was very upset. There was gossips about Osmosis doing that, and they felt like, yeah, like since people don't like it, um, any chain that will attempt to do it, there will be hesitance. So for example, like even you have composable. If you would attempt to do it, there would be like other hesitance, right? Like I would imagine there would like again the composable fat, right? And it's like, oh, we're gonna merge and give the money to the serial scammer or whatever. Like that would be rhetoric, right? So like I think any attempts of mergers, like I will be surprised if even one happen. Okay. um
Agree.
the problem is Stride chain wasn't worth like $80 million, right? Like it's because the liquidity on the market was only 0.5%. So you cannot measure the market cap based on the liquidity. It's like very difficult to measure those things. But I understand. And that's also make it like more difficult to do merger there. Like it will not go through. Seems the struggle, like it seems the Stride didn't attract as much TVL as they wanted, right? With the
liquid staking module.
with the liquid staking module, and so like I think everyone struggles. But on the other hand, I grew to have the opinion that pretty much most of the Cosmos chain should use Atom as the currency, because it just make it easier, and the asset is more stable, right? So I see no need for even for Stargaze. It's cool there is token, but like it would be more stable for NFTs if they were using like Atom as the token. And you
Yeah.
know
Yeah, I
also
mean, I think
yeah, go on.
I mean it's like it's complicated, right? I do think for users and like user experience, it would definitely be, potentially better. But I also think it's challenging to have a token and then not have a token, right? Like it's difficult to like retroactively merge, right? Like I think if a project came out of the gate saying, "Hey, we have no token, we're going to use Atom as the token, and we're a business that has no token, and we accrue revenue just like any other normal business, to Atom stakers and maybe a portion to the protocol itself," then yeah. But I think doing something retroactively is like really, really challenging, especially in the bear market, right? Where like everyone knows that these prices are,
Yeah,
I guess, yeah,
so I think it's easier on Ethereum because of the fees.
yeah,
Yes, Stefan, I will ask that. Ethereum is easier because of the fees, but how to turn on the revenues in Cosmos when there is like a sub 1 cent fees? It's so difficult. So when you launch the product, when you launch the app chain or application, the fees doesn't occur protocol revenues, even if there is a lot of fees, right? So that's difficult. And I think it would make sense, right? Like someone would launch and maybe there would be like a community pool allocator to allocate the certain, like, let's say 1 million Atom, right? Which is $7 million, which is great money. And everyone would be like, hey, it's a rug. But there was $100 million, $150 million dumped via span of 2 weeks when it comes to Atom, and it was absorbing it well. It's probably better than having like 100 farming tokens and dragging whole ecosystem down because of those tokens, right? So I think it will be really difficult to put I think the Cosmos is in trouble because they need to find that like utility and an Atom to be used. And I think there is works of this guy Effort Capital. They want to lower the inflation now to 10%, which I think is really cool. It's all about like financial engineering, I guess, because nothing stays against like turning off inflation.
yeah.
Of course everyone would be pissed because suddenly you make like 0.5% APR, and like you make, there is no reason to stake it or anything, and everyone would be upset, and validators would be like, hey, I was making 10K, now I'm making $100, right? Like, so they would be upset.
Yeah.
But they could make the like half of the gas fees being burned or something, and every day you would see that there is less. So in moments of demand, you would have like crazy Ponzinomics to Atom.
Yeah.
I'm not against experimenting, right? Like with the tokenomics. And
I mean, I think experimentation is one thing, but like a full-on merge where now you have also organizationally things become complicated too, right? Because then like in the event that Stride does merge, who is the boss of Stride? You know, who determines the roadmap of Stride? Do you have to have a roadmap and then publish it to the hub? Just like, you know, Informal and other people do every year for funding, um, or like who ultimately becomes their boss, right? And I think that's like also quite a difficult thing when you're running a business. Like you want to have a clear direction, and I think the reality is Cosmos just doesn't have a super clear direction, right? Like sovereign app chains as a thesis makes sense, but now we also have sovereign rollups as a thesis, and it's also becoming challenging to see a world in which, yeah, like, you know, every project that comes along, you know, let's just take a casino, right? Like if a casino like Rollbit wants to become something that's sovereign, like there needs to be a specific use case as to why they'd want to be an app chain in Cosmos versus like a roll up on Celestia. And I think a lot of that you know, value proposition is IBC, because there's no sort of IBC with rollups yet. But beyond interoperability, I think we need to start thinking about like how to further differentiate the ecosystem, and coming up with merges where you're essentially killing the innovation of the team is maybe not the best approach, especially where, you know, this requires a lot of thinking. And I do agree with one of the comments that this was a very improvised proposal. I'd be curious to see like how much more work is going to go into this thing, but like it's the same thing. The way I think about it is like it's the same thing as you know, in Polkadot we had this team called Snowfork that was building the Ethereum bridge to Polkadot,
Mm-hmm.
and they wanted to launch their own token, et cetera, for a bunch of years, and then last year they basically just said, "Hey, we want to become a common good parachain. Here are our milestones. Here's how much money from the community pool will go to Snowfork as a development team. Here's the roadmap." And they had no token to begin with. So there isn't this issue of like what happens to the Stride community, what happens to the Stride token.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, like Stride wasn't so bad because the main utility is actually Atom, right?
yeah,
But if you have like other blockchains and suddenly like you don't have governance, so it means like, hey, I'm gonna be governed by like a set of random validators that know like nothing about my chain. But it already exists, because I think that also shows how ridiculous I think is the validator governance. I think the validator should vote on the upgrades because they need to be present. Anything else, like why they decide on spending, I don't know. Like it, like you should probably have two governance modules, because in this case, if you would become like consumer chain with no token, it's ridiculous to give up governance, right? So you need um some sort of DAO. And that was the problem in the bull market. You had like companies spinning up 20 nodes for 20 different blockchains, or even 50 nodes. And the only job is that they see the, you know, on Telegram notification that there is proposal, and they see how others vote, so they vote, which is like and that would like that would be massive issue. Maybe not so much for Stride, because once again, the main utility of Stride is the Atom, but for many other blockchains, so I think the mergers would be difficult.
yeah,
But it would be different with the bridges. Like it would make sense to remove graph token, right? Like I don't want to say composable, but like for the bridges it makes sense, because the bridges are neutral, especially if they're like and try to be native Cosmos bridge to Ethereum or somewhere, right? Like that. I think that totally makes sense, because you want to have secure bridge or something like that. I just noticed that Sunny did a forum post to ask more Atom for LPing on Osmosis, which I think makes sense, because like for ST Atom and an Atom pool. and I think each of the like actually chain that utilize Atom should do it, because you want like, and that's like the step to making Atom the money.
Yeah.
Because I always felt Atom is more like money for the, because of its deep liquidity. Yeah, like I want to speak a little bit on composable, but on the dot side, because I feel it doesn't go well. The bridge was working. There was people complained that there is communication on Telegram, not enough communication on Twitter. But I think composable struggled to attract the volume of Polkadot. From one way, it maybe was kind of expected. I think, to be honest, I feel like compared to Cosmos, Polkadot is dead chain. Like it's so
Yeah, so there's something that
yeah, what did go wrong?
yeah. So I mean, I think the reality is like Polkadot is an ecosystem that is heavily sex oriented.
Yeah.
Like the majority of dots are staked with sexes. So what we're thinking about doing to sort of turbocharge liquidity is actually to release a liquid staking token. Like we don't do liquid staking, right? Like this is not our sort of business model. But because we do want to push dot liquidity to other ecosystems, I think the simplest way is having a sort of relationship with a sex and allowing the sex to offer a liquid staking product to its customers, and then being able to then deploy that into Cosmos DeFi or Ethereum DeFi or whatever other DeFi we connect over IBC. So I think that's going to be kind of like one of the next strategies that we push out over the next few weeks is liquid staking. Hopefully we can push more dot liquidity that way. But I do think like the fact of the matter is people don't want to do anything with dot. And it's just like I've seen that to be very true. I do think one use case is particularly exciting, which is Livana. So we're working with a few people to seed a pool for the Livana dot market. Currently, there are no other places to trade perps on chain for dot. And so I think this is going to be sort of like our hallmark use case, hopefully. And we're also this week going to go through the transmuter pool contract thing that Osmosis set up to migrate Axel dot liquidity away into our version of dot. And so hopefully with deeper liquidity in Osmosis, we've been trying to push things like IST and Mars and UMI. But the issue with these things is we don't have enough liquidity on chain to do proper liquidations. And so I'm hoping that the combination of like Livana, transmuter, liquid staking, we can actually try to push the TVL forward. But yeah, like I think you're totally right that the ecosystem for usage of dot within the ecosystem is definitely not going the decentralized route. It's very much so going the centralized route.
Even though there is like first incentivized pool, which is very high, it's 240%, right? And I'm thinking, that's not, to be honest, I'd be like, it's not the right thing for incentives. It's kind of will miss the point, because it's so difficult even to get liquidity right now. Because how to get liquidity to that pool? I'm speaking, there is pool Pablo that is dot and stars. Because there is no liquidity on Pablo itself, right? How you would have to do it, you have to acquire stars, let's say on Osmosis, bridge it, but dot, you have to acquire it on some of the dot DEX or sex, because you cannot, there is not enough liquidity on Pablo, right? Which is kind of issue, because you require now bridges from two sides to add liquidity, which make it more difficult. So that, like, but did you get confirmation, because you said that there will be change, that the dot on Osmosis will migrate from XLR to composable version? Is it like, were they okay? Because I felt Osmosis were quite close with XLR. But
so we're the canonical bridge now for dot. And so what we actually have to do is we can't actually like, it's a decentralized protocol, permissionless protocol, right? So we can't actually like migrate the liquidity ourselves. We essentially will set up a transmuter contract. So we will put liquidity here, and people can put their Axel dot liquidity here, and then basically transmute it over to our version of dot. But users still need to do this. So like, if no one does it, then we can't migrate anything. But we're hoping that, you know, we'll add some incentive for people to actually do this.
Yeah, that is correct. The dot, the composable dot, there is the bridge that sends, but composable was down for a couple of days because of the maintenance, right?
So it was down. We released a big sort of like our learnings about the situation, and also what we're doing going forward to better communicate to the community as well. Actually, we commented this as well in our ICS proposal to one of Rarma's comments, which was very helpful. But yeah, I yes, it was down for a few days.
Yeah, so it could happen in the future, right? Which is, or you rather like don't think it's gonna happen over time, you know, because then if you are down, you need probably liquidity of dot with other dot, right, to bridge it other way, right? So
Yes. So I mean, so the thing is everyone sort of passes this idea around of like IBC everywhere all the time. And the reality is, like, we are the only team to actually put IBC, cross ecosystem IBC, into production. And the reason for that is like, it's difficult, right? There's like tons of teams out there that say, oh, we're doing ETH IBC or we're doing whatever IBC. And like, the fact of the matter is, like, these teams don't have experience putting anything into production, / they've never put anything in production. And the reality of the matter is this stuff is really challenging, but we've also, like, as an organization, have learned a lot about, you know, conflict resolution and sort of communicating to the community properly regarding sort of what outages there could be / what caused these outages. One of the reason why we sort of hadn't really publicized what we, you know, when we found out the issue, was because this was a issue within sort of the Rust implementation of PFM, and we were worried that sort of other teams in the Cosmos had this vulnerability as well, and so we followed the kind of similar to whatever Dragonberry reporting timelines standards. We followed those processes. So I think the answer is yes, of course, it could always happen in the future. But I think, you know, we've learned a lot from sort of now, since deploying this thing in production since June. We've learned a ton about this stuff.
yeah. You mentioned Levana, you know, before. I just want to like step up a little bit of I kind of love using that, but
Yeah.
I was very hesitant about Levana. I think many people were, but you know what's not even, it's not about trading, but like if people are like bullish on Bitcoin, want to hold Bitcoin, like just put it to Levana pool, and because of like
Yeah.
if the spikes happen, the APR goes to like close to 100. Like you
Yeah.
can really like multiply your Bitcoin bags on volatility. If you
Yeah.
think it's gonna go to like up in long term or even stay the same, but it's gonna bounce, like you are gonna get more Bitcoin. So I kind of love doing that pool, you know. Did you play
Yeah.
with Levana? Did you trade
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
liquidity?
Yeah, like Levana is one of my favorite products in the Cosmos ecosystem. I think that the reason why is simple, right? Because if you are somebody who wants to earn yield and not necessarily speculate, like right now for DOT, you could just go stake your DOT single-sided essentially and make 100-something% APY.
Yeah, and
And
that's the real yield, right? Is the it's
exactly.
I mean it's from the fees, which is
Yeah.
which is the real yield. Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, somebody like Pendle, which is like a yield token and principal token
Yeah.
minting solution, should probably just build a vault on top of Levana whereby you ape into Levana, you get a receipt token. This receipt token prints the yield and the actual principal, and then you could sort of loop that multiple times.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really, really useful product that I think is like still in the very early stages of people from ETH land understanding how valuable it is.
I actually think some of the like even if market makers could probably get like from the trading fees, because they have this funding rates. So I think you need to be a little experienced to benefit from that, but like market makers could absolutely do that. There was a question before about the layer token, because I'm not sure if we can talk about the layer, but there will be no Pika token, or how it's gonna be. Um,
Yeah, so there will be two like sort of key use cases, like different use cases for Pika and Layer. Um, so like Pika for us is going to end up becoming the kind of IBC token. So it's the token that accrues revenue from cross ecosystem IBC, and the Layer token will basically be this this token that people use for um, cross-chain MEV and order flow settlement and things like this. But those use cases, as we have them, we're going to publish them. Like actually, sometime in the next couple of weeks, we'll be publishing a very detailed breakdown as to how both of these tokens work and how they interact.
Yeah, I have a question here from Cedric. Yeah, and it's about how you design that, because for those who used Composable, they know how it works. So it actually go via the um well, it doesn't it doesn't have to go via Composable, but it can go, and maybe it like the question is like this:
Hmm.
why would any sovereign Cosmos chain choose to add an extra layer of risk by utilizing a composable chain instead of just communicating directly with DOT slash parachains through IBC slash XCM? I think they can do
I
it,
don't.
right? Like,
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, so there is no other way to get to. I mean, like you could basically move your dot using a sex, but you also can't withdraw your dot anywhere, right? Other than Polkadot. So um,
yeah, but when you bridge it to Cosmos,
mhm. It's using our IBC connection.
it does it go through composable always chain, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Why it has to like why couldn't you remove that layer of composable and do
Well,
directly?
yeah. So actually, this was how we wanted things to be actually in the early days. So you require sort of two core pieces to do IBC. You require the light client on the parachain side to talk to Cosmos chains, and you require the light client on the Cosmos side to be able to speak to parachains as well. So actually originally we wanted to just be the parachain that people access, and not have a Cosmos chain. But we quickly realized that over time, like to get people to install this module on their chains was sort of a big ask, and nobody did it, right? And so still to this day, no one has added this module to their chain. Um, in the future, like Juno is working on this. Juno wants to add this module to their chain so they can get connection to Polkadot directly, but it's October 24th and nothing has been put to production yet. So, this is why we had to do this, was to make sure that we could actually offer this connection to people like ASAP.
Right. So it's just faster, and the composable in this case work maybe as the hub for that, right? Because everyone can
Yeah.
easily integrate to the other chain. So there are plans for Ethereum, which I'm excited, but there is some concerns I would have. By the way, I think some of the competition were working on that. I want to give the shout out to Robo, because he said something about stablecoin. I don't know. Maybe there is some truth that you try to make stablecoin. Maybe there is some gossips. But putting that aside, I'm very glad Robo is like chasing that and um, uh, showing the
We never tried
disapproval.
to,
Showing
and
the
we never tried to make a stable coin, by the way.
Yeah, but I'm very glad Robo trying to show the disapproval to you. I remember Robo had many spaces where he like spoke badly about the person called Jack Zampolin, but once Jack Zampolin coming to his show with 3 listeners, he sent him a lot of virtual blowjobs. So sorry for that, but yeah, Robo, keep it up. Great job.
You mean this is Ray Raspberry, right?
It was Robo, and then he tagged Ray
Okay.
Raspberry. No, I like
Okay.
Ray Raspberry, but this is the problem because Ray Raspberry sends a lot, and I would say to Ray, like, "Hey Ray, like, so yeah, come and ask questions, so like we can talk because it's very difficult when you send the things and then you want to talk about it, but you don't come to talk about it, like so." Either you talk about it or you don't talk about it, right? Like make it simple. But I heard that Jack, some people work on that Ethereum IBC right now. There is some project. I don't know how it's called. I know you working on Ethereum IBC. Before we talk competition, when you expect, because now it's the test net, so people can test it. When you plan the mainnet beta.
Yeah, so basically the plan is we want to launch an ambassador program like next week. So we've spoken to like maybe 50 ETH protocols, like different protocols in Ethereum, like Curve, Uniswap, Compound, Aave, etc. And we're going to essentially create challenges where users are bridging their assets from Cosmos over to these protocols and doing something on these protocols, like creating a pool, staking it, minting, yield tokens, principal tokens on Pendle, and then also the other way. So moving like Lido, ETH, or Swell ETH over to Osmosis, testnet, etc. And so probably after 1 month of this,
And that
we
is
may
on
extend.
testnet.
Yeah, on
Those
testnet.
challenges are on testnet.
That's right. Yeah. And then we continue those challenges in mainnet as well.
Right.
So, yeah. And
Yeah,
that's actually when. Mhm.
yeah, I would be interested doing them on mainnet. Like I must tell you, I try to, because I get testnet Pika tokens and I try to bridge them um to Ethereum, but the transfer failed. Like the transfer.
Mhm.
So not sure what was the issue. Maybe at very end we
Yeah.
can give 5 minutes to try it, because I don't like, because
Sure.
usually trying is very awkward, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
So
so yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
so I wonder, like on Aave, like is Atom supported actually on Aave, that you can open the pools there?
Yeah, I mean, so we're actually working on making it supported, right? So the past couple of weeks we've been like speaking to these teams and trying to get like the Sepolia or the Gurley implementations of these applications and front ends to like support these assets. So you'll be able to move these assets to those protocols and basically see them. Might show up as like something weird if we haven't finished the front end integration, but the idea is that we want it to feel like it's the real thing, so we can test all these different use cases before we go into mainnet.
Yeah, so if I'm the dev, right, let's say from one of the protocols in Cosmos, and I have bunch of tokens, and I don't want to sell them because I would feel bad, but I want to leverage the shit out of this, like on Umi. So because there was the case when someone took a big loan on Umi, and then took ETH or Axelar USDC and move it to ETH, right? So now that person will be able to bridge the native Cosmos tokens and leverage them on Ethereum directly. No, right?
On testnet, like for mainnet, we have to get these things approved by Aave's governance processes. But yes,
Do you expect it will get approved?
I mean, I think Osmo could, right? I think Osmo could get approved. I think many other things could get approved as well. I mean, we'll see, right? It depends on the communities.
There's some question about light client. It's like,
Yeah, I mean, answering, as previous to what I said, like there's also like, so anybody can add this to their chain. It's not like we're not gatekeeping this thing. It's like open source. It's in IBC Go. You can add the Wasm client to your chain tomorrow. Actually, Kujira is trying to add this Wasm client to their chain, so they have a direct connection to Polkadot. But it's just that, some teams are not specialized in this stuff, right? Like we actually specialize in building this technology. So I think it makes sense that we're sort of this indirect hub. But yeah.
Kujira is great, like because these guys are so open to being the first one. Like you build something and they're like, yeah, we integrate, right? Like that's what I'm getting from that. But so there is the question, like, so let's say if I'm not gonna give you time cap. Let's say it's January 2024, maybe even March 2024, and that your bridge is on the mainnet, yeah.
Yep.
And so there is deep liquidity on Ethereum from Axelar, yeah. Osmosis work very closely, and they ensure there is like millions of dollars bridged via Axelar. And that's it seems like it was established as the main bridge in Cosmos, right? Because they really, the strategy, it seems eventually the strategy worked. Congratulations to Axelar. And I'm a little bit, so there will be a lot of, I'm concerned if you will be able to get that support from actual Osmosis to push it. They don't even support Gravity much, from Kujira, from Neutron. But also, like, I was thinking initially, like, you will do great because you will have lower fees, yeah. But
correct.
Not sure if you used that app called Squid, which made everything cheaper and easier. And when I used that, I was like, okay, now it will be very difficult to compete with them. So, like, wonder like if you could address that.
I mean, we could also build our own version of Squid, right? I mean, it's not so like Squid is not like a rocket science, product. It's just an aggregator, right? Like there's also Li-Fi, there's also Zapper, there's also Socket.tech. There's like tons of these different aggregators. So, we could feasibly build something similar, but actually we're working on trying to get integrated with other aggregators so that they can support connectivity using our bridge. So that's one answer. The second answer is, I think, the market makers that are actually doing things on Osmosis are interested in having a decentralized solution, because every day when they look at their books, they see $50 million worth of Axel USDC, and they have to add some sort of bridge risk parameters, right? Like, first of all, XLR could get 51% attacked. XLR could get hacked from its multisig. And these things have happened before for other solutions like Wormhole. And so I think just looking at things from a cost of capital perspective is the way that a lot of these market makers will look at like why they should move over to this type of solution. But actually, I think this is two kind of separate different markets, right? So in my mind, Axel USDC will disappear because of Noble. Axel USDT will disappear because of Kava, and then you have the remaining assets are basically Axel WBTC and Axel ETH, and then Axel WST ETH, right? WBTC will get replaced when Osmosis has support for BitGo WBTC, and so then really it's just ETH. And then the question is like, will these protocols be interested in supporting a decentralized solution? I think definitely. and it's also faster, and I mean, it's cheaper is the intention, and faster as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Because like what I was thinking, once you have the Ethereum bridge, and obviously it's important that it's will be constantly running, right? So you want to have like ensure like solid set of validators, um with as little maintenance required as possible. And I thought that the most important will be like liquidity. And I think the most
yeah,
difficult is like the first 2 millions, maybe, right? So if
yeah,
you connect that to Ethereum, will you be able to bridge like 1 or 2 million of Ethereum worth? And just even like to make the pools like you know, not sure how you're gonna what's the ticker is going to be, if it's gonna be LETH, like layer ETH, slash axelar ETH. Like creating those pools just for arbitrage like also is like
important.
important, right? So will you be able you know, to be quite honest, like I think it requires knowledge of the whales, because what I noticed on Ethereum, the initial liquidity to protocols on Ethereum were usually Ethereum whales. With what Cosmos struggled, because Cosmos always used retail to provide liquidity, and that's why retail always got roasted, which I think Manta is doing something different now, because um, Manta actually has couple whales that decided to provide liquidity. So
Yeah.
yeah, like how what would be your strategy on bringing that liquidity?
Yeah, so I think there's two answers to this. First is like we try to target things that are interesting, that are within the Ethereum ecosystem that haven't really made it to the Cosmos ecosystem. Things like Frax, right? I'm not sure if you've seen the S Frax thing where you stake for like 6% APY, like direct exposure to T-bills. I think that's a really great product. I think we also tried to bring over something like Curve USD. Tetranode this morning was shilling Curve USD, um, because it really is just a good product.
What's the ticker of
GHO
Curve
stable.
USD?
I think it's just CRV USD.
Uh, yeah, correct. Yeah.
And then GHO from Aave, like minting stablecoin off of your Aave debt positions. I mean, these are all things that I think whales like to do and like to
Mhm.
get exposure to. I mean, Frax just launched their product last week and they have 35 million TVL already. And I think that's just the beginning. So I think close collaborations with these teams is one thing. Secondarily is like, yeah, speaking to whales that are, you know, either on our cap table of investors or people that we know in the ecosystem that like to get exposure to these types of like, you know, non USDC stable coins, like more decentralized stable coins. Um, and and I think also trying to do things in Ethereum with Cosmos is also very important.
Mhm.
Um, so pools that like are that make sense, I think are going to be very big, right? So like there isn't an easy way. So assume there's like two different versions of the same asset. Um, like you have WBTC from Osmosis, WBTC from Ethereum. That sounds like a pretty great pool to have on Curve, right? On
Mhm.
Ethereum mainnet, because then you basically swap and then you can bridge to Osmosis, and now you have the native asset on Osmosis and the native asset on Ethereum. So I think these are the types of pools we're also looking to do, and I think those are very attractive to market makers and whales that want to also be like delta neutral.
Um, you know, you were saying that maybe Atom and Osmo would be good asset, but like recent days, actually, Kuji was trending, and I think Kuji has
Yes.
quite distinct community. There would be like, there could be some Ethereum people interested in buying Kuji tokens for the price go up. So
Yeah.
I think would be cool if Kuji could use that, because um
I mean, so what
yeah.
Manta should really do is basically they should set up a Kuji ST Kuji maybe pool. Like I'm not sure if there's a liquid state version of Kuji going to come out at some point, but if there is, they should build a deep liquidity for Kuji ST Kuji, and then they should use Manta to acquire CRV tokens, Curve tokens, and then lock them on StakeDAO in like the Liquid Lockers campaign, because then you can bribe the Curve gauges to these pools, right? So now you have Curve emissions for a somewhat delta neutral pool, and yeah, I think that's how you build good liquidity for Kujira.
Yeah, hopefully Cedric listen. If not, if he will check it later. The Manta people. But yeah, this is good. Like essentially you bribe everything with the governance, right? Like, and then you are like,
Correct.
yeah, oh now they're gonna make Kuji pools or whatever, and
Yeah.
you increase that demand. Yeah. This is really
I
cool.
actually think that's maybe what Manta should do long term, is like get stakes in these governance tokens that impact liquidity and things like lending, for the Kujira ecosystem.
Yeah. Do you think is there some danger because it's so basic and I missed on Manta, right? Like so I'm saying because these tokens actually are tokens that go up in Cosmos. I think it was interesting because it was just the DAO token, and they were like, yeah, but they bonded like deep liquidity with Ethereum, with wrapped Bitcoin, with other tokens, right? Essentially bringing the utility for the token and ensuring the stability with that. Is there like any dangers in doing so, or like it's just like how everyone does?
I mean, so like I think the largest holder of Curve is Convex. So Convex is this protocol built on top of the Curve gauge bribing system, and the largest holder of Convex is Frax, right? So, and why did Frax do that? Frax did that to make sure that they have always consistently good liquidity for the Frax token, the Frax stablecoin. So I mean, I think more people should do this, to be honest, right? Like it's also a good time to do it.
Yeah.
A team that did this really, really well in the bull market was this team called Redacted, where basically they were offering bonds of Butterfly, their token, Butterfly token, at a discount, in exchange for Curve and Convex. And now they have so much Curve and Convex that essentially you can use them as a mechanism to turbocharge liquidity for you, essentially.
Mm. There is the question: is composable ICS proposal on chain next month?
I think the timeline for ICS now is that we have some solid usage of the testnet over the next few weeks, and then we target ICS thereafter.
It will be
yeah.
it will be difficult. I'm not saying I think composable is the product. Oh, there. Sorry, like response of Cedric. So I think composable perfect use case for ICS being secured by the Cosmos because it's the bridge, and then trying to attract deep liquidity from Ethereum for stability of the price, because Ethereum seems to be a really good pair, just the second to Bitcoin when it comes to stability, right? But also it would be in interest of the hub to send in the atom to Ethereum and hey, let's make sure that there will be hundreds of millions of dollars. Maybe there will be no interest, but the goal should be to bond Atom to all those pools on Ethereum and bring more moneyness, more of the utility, deep liquidity across all the ecosystems. So the ICS is the perfect solution. But my concern is that the second largest validator on the hub is SG1, who had its effort in founding Juno, for example, right? You
Well, I
have
mean, we have no beef with Juno, right? Like we are actually helping them deploy the
right.
Wasm client.
Yeah, like, but there is, there will be validators like Strangelove who probably will be voting no and opposing that because they will try to build competing products. Have you been in contact with the validators? Because it seems
Yeah,
politics are important. Yeah.
yeah, we've been speaking to pretty much. I mean, if we haven't spoken to you, we probably will in the next couple of weeks. Myself and Jafar have been speaking to, as many people as we physically can. So, I mean, yeah, the response has sort of been, I think people in general are bullish on this concept of like our use case for ICS. I think the response has just been people don't know what is going to happen with ICS as a whole, meaning like, there a lot of the notions of ICS were thrown out the window with this stride proposal,
Hmm.
right? Like we spoke to some people and like some people said, "Oh, well, sounds like a great proposal, but only if you merge," right? And
Yeah.
I don't think we're prepared. Like, we're definitely not prepared to merge with the hub. That's like definitely out of the question. Um, so I think like overall, people are not sure what is the like plan and direction for ICS going forward. I think that's more of a systemic issue than a like composable issue.
Yeah.
But it
Um,
is. But I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, because you build bridge, I want to ask you. Not sure if you had a chance to see the nomic presentation on Cosmoverse on the, and actually Cedric was talking to me. Not sure if you caught it. I want to ask the question because they said there is the security measure if, but it doesn't make much sense to um not sure if you saw that they meant to be easy deployment of Bitcoin with the QR code. You have address, you send it to Kuji or Osmosis, etc. And they said in case if the validators would go off,
Mhm.
that Bitcoin is back in your Bitcoin wallet. Not by like under part match, but I'm not exactly sure how it works. What if you have bonded NBTC in pools? Does it mean people get rugged or like? Not sure if you were following that. No.
Yeah. So I think what they meant was if you're still on the gnomic chain. So like if the gnomic chain dies, like they burn your NBTC and now you have BTC in Bitcoin land. I don't know if that's what they meant for like in other
Oh right,
ecosystems
like
though.
yeah, like I kind of didn't think that you move it IBC to other chains and like it's impossible that Nomic would have uh,
Control.
any power there. But what would happen if it happens from the Nomic chain? It turns, wouldn't it depeg?
It would, yeah, I mean, so basically like if I mean NBTC would basically go to zero in the gnomic chain land, which means the rest of the NBTCs would all be depeg essentially.
Which would
Um,
mean all of your other tokens that are pegged to that would suffer.
also depeg. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so because no one addressed that, and it's like, yeah, how I use that if I have this security measure, like why would I bond it with that Bitcoin? It's great security measure, it's horrible for DeFi. That's what I'm
Yeah, I mean,
getting here.
I think honestly, I think Nomic is a really good candidate for ICS, right? Like they also need really good security. Um,
Yeah.
so I mean, I'm not too familiar with the solution, but I would say like if they want to fix the issue of like all their validators at the same time going offline, I think ICS is a good alternative.
Yeah. Would w- I wonder if that would be the problem in case of network hold as well. So like that would be right because it's the same if all validators go off is equal to hold. So even hold would be dangerous. Should we try to breach to Ethereum now? Like not sure if there's like any news that you wanted to share as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, I mean, ambassador program next week. Um, Yeah, like stay tuned for more things to do on testnet. Essentially,
So
one of the cool things. Mhm.
how people make money in that ambassador program?
Yeah, so basically we incentivize, we have like incentive programs in Pika and in Layer, and um, we'll publish all of this stuff next week. And like one of the things that I think is really cool is we have this concept of teams. So once you're on mainnet, um, one of the challenges could be, total TVL bridged, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
And if your team is in the top three of teams, then you get an NFT that lets you stake for basically like additional yield on, say, your Layer ETH LP staking, or just like Layer single-sided staking once Layer actually comes out. Um, so we're really trying to gamify this so that we can have more sort of organic usage. Because the issue that we had with Polkadot Cosmos, right, is like we as the team had to build all of these different use cases ourselves. We're hoping that this time around, like with this ambassador program, we can have people do the use cases kind of on their own, and we incentivize these activities.
Mm-hmm. Um, yeah, so I hope people will be doing that to get some of the additional tokens. For surely, like I'll be trying to make some like of the tutorials. Now I'm in my wallet trying to find which one I used for getting testnet Pika Pika tokens, because I cannot find them to do the bridge. Do you have some of the Pika tokens?
I
The
on
testnet
mainnet.
Pika, testnet.
So let me just. Can you send
I
me your address?
Yeah, I have too many. I think I have too many wallets, and I don't know which one is the one. If you can access the private chat here.
Yes, let me see. Okay, perfect.
So yeah, now we getting ready. So like we'll be a little slow. Also, it took a while for the testnet tokens to appear in my wallet. Uh,
Yeah,
Composable is
yeah,
fully
that's.
integrated with Kepler now,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I noticed it was, yeah. Mm, yeah, I don't know why I don't have in this wallet. Maybe I was using other one. Do you like traveling? You moving around a lot.
Honestly, not really. Like, I think I'm tired of that now.
Yeah, I hate it.
Yeah.
Have you sent?
I'm sending now, yeah. Just I'm also trying to remember which wallet that I have.
Meanwhile, I might request it also on um
The public channel. I
on.
actually requested for you already.
Oh, okay. I thought you had it because I was doing that, but mm, but it seems I don't have it in the wallet. So maybe I requested somewhere else.
Yeah, actually, could you try making another address? Because I think we just changed our prefix this morning for the testnet.
You mean like
It's no longer Centauri.
Oh, okay. That's why I cannot
Yeah.
see that. Um,
Yes.
well, that's the problem. How can I find it? Is it what's the where can I find that?
Just go to your Kepler and re-add the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Remove Century, like where? I don't like the Kepler.
I know.
It's very confusing. Um, yeah, we'll see if. if we are able to do that. There's too many chains. I don't even.
Do you need the RPC for it?
No, I just don't know how to remove the chain from the Kepler. So that's the. You know what? Maybe I just do the video the other time to
Yeah.
not delay that.
Yeah.
Because
Sorry, this morning we updated the prefix.
no, I didn't know that, right? So I was giving you the other, but yeah, and I don't want to search now in the because I can see the ad token. I not sure if I would have to go to the. Sorry for the babies in the background.
It's okay.
Yeah, uh, yeah, I'll do it. The Cedric
Okay.
says about NBTC a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the fundamental issue.
Yeah. So essentially, the like it's crazy. Security vector, a security feature is attack vector. Like someone could want it. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna short all Cosmos market now, and gonna attack Nomic. And yeah. Brainjar,
Yeah.
thank you for coming. As I will sort it out the Century. I will make some video maybe on Twitter, like short video of the bridging. If it fails, I will show you because last time when I tried it, it failed. So yeah. What time is that?
It's noon. 12.
That's not bad. I thought it's very early.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, and enjoy the rest of your day. Don't work too hard, and we're gonna do some updates, right? Soon more on Composable. Those who enjoyed, you can share this video. Maybe I will post it on Twitter. I quite enjoy posting now on Twitter. There is bigger reach, and use Composable testnet. So you can go to Bridge, and this is the link. You can find it also on the Twitter, where you can it probably will pop out that you can go to Discord, request some test tokens, and you can do transfer to Ethereum. Yeah. So everyone, take care. Thank you, Brainjar, and
Thank you.
speak